Welcome back to our wonderful podcast. Philippa and I are so excited to be here today for what is episode 2 of series 2. I still find it remarkable. No, that's the wrong word. I still find it unbelievable that we are on series 2. Now, it looks to me as though we have a visitor. Philippa, who have you brought along?
Oh, I've brought along my old boss. And I'm not saying you're old, Romi. I'm just saying my previous boss is probably a better way to say it. So we worked together for a year or so. And I know of you as a great leader. And I would also say, since we've stopped working together, also a good friend. And still find I learn a lot from you and enjoy, talking to you about, where you're going, what you're doing, and also sharing with what my journey's been with the coaching side. We have brought Romi in today because we said our theme for series 2 was about sort of dealing with new and how that can sometimes throw you a little bit off course. And Romi, as a great leader, has had a lot of experience of dealing with new, but we were going to talk today a little bit about forming new teams, because teams are the people that generally deliver results. And as a leader, you need to be able to motivate, inspire your team and get the right people in to be able to deliver. So we brought Romi in just to pick his brains a bit on what he's done in his experience and his past, and how he's helped get a team together and to perform. So that's Romi.
Oh, Romi, it's wonderful to have you here. Thank you for joining us. I'm really going to look forward to this conversation. All three of us, I think, at some point in time have worked with teams, and Philippa and I continue to do that in our coaching world. So it's going to be great to get your experience. So let me kick off with the first question. When you have new teams, how do you get them to perform and to deliver and to get that momentum moving quickly?
Yeah. Well, first of all, both, let me just say, it's great going to be here with the dynamic duo of coaching. It's a privilege to going to be in your podcast. And I'm really excited too. It's going to be here with you both. As you said, being a leader and building teams is part and parcel of corporate life. And all of us through our journey, from being individual performers to being team leaders and then being leader of communities, kind of go through this all the time. I find that in every leadership role that I jump into, my dream is always going to build this A-star team, and Philippa knows exactly what I'm talking about. And what I've learned over the years is, it's always going to be part science, it's part art, and to be honest, it's part luck in terms of just kind of getting the right mix of people within the teams. But what it may sound obvious, but the 3 things that I consistently find that holds true when you're going to try to build really high-performing teams is: 1, pick the best talent. So don't compromise, especially with your first leadership team. And 2nd, once you do bring in this great set of talents, then set a really clear vision around where you want to bring people to, so that they know what the journey is going to look like. Get them excited, motivated around that. And 3, just lay down some clear expectations and help them deliver through empowerment, rather than tell them exactly how things need to be. So normally I try to invest in telling them the why. I spend a lot of time around the why. I show them where they need to get to. We agree on the when, but I tend to kind of give them space around how you can get there. So those are kind of 3 things that I find really is consistent across all the different teams I've built.
So it's a lovely formula there. I can see science behind it, but also know there's a bit of marketing that, you've got experience on. So there is feel as well, isn't there? So it's not always just the formula. It's got to be the feel. And it sounds easy, Romi. So it would be interesting to hear whether it was, with your experience, has it always been really?
Has it always been that easy? No, it always sounds like it.
Maybe. And if it's challenges, either how have you navigated them, or what did you learn in order to be successful in navigating them in another experience of building up a team?
Yeah. So in terms of just kind of putting teams together, I think you're always going to start with recruit. How you can find those great talent. I tend to kind of start with the end game in mind. You're clear around the journey and what it's going to look like. You're going to work backwards from there, and you understand the challenges that you're going to be faced with. Then you try to kind of imagine in your mind the right kind of profiles of people that you want to bring to the team. So that it starts with that. And what I always find is the challenge is, how do you get just the right chemistry going with the first 5 or 10 people that you bring to the team? Because these are going to be the one that's going to set the tone, set the culture for the next 100 people that joins the team. So just getting the first 5 to 10 needs to be really, really right. I'm a big fan of Bezos and Amazon. And one of the things that I kind of learned from them is they have this concept of a bar raiser. So there's always, in every interview in Amazon, they're going to bring in this independent assessor that looks at the next person that they bring on board needs to be 50% higher than the current set of employees that they have doing similar roles. I thought it's such a great idea in terms of how do you kind of keep raising the bar every single person that you can bring on to the team. So that's one of the things that I've tried to employ to a mixed degree of success, I would say. But, if you get 8 out of 10 folks within the team, especially your leadership team, to be just the right caliber of people with the right mix and the right motivation and the right level of energy that they bring, it makes such a world of difference. Philippa, you know this firsthand in terms of building up the team that we had in Shell together. It just makes such a world of difference. If I had to kind of pick one challenge around recruitment, it's creating that balance between waiting for the right individual that you want versus just kind of, you can't wait anymore and you just need to get going. So there's always that balance around timing and availability.
And if you think about like mobilisation, because if you go through the recruitment process, obviously there's some, like you said, some balance that you need to find on talent for the A-star team, but timing as well, because usually there's a push if you need to get going. Where have you, again, you talk about the science and the art. Is there a science that you felt about that tipping point where you go, and now we need to go, versus now we need to be gelling more in order in the longer term for us to go faster with the go? So is it, in your experience, a sort of the science or the art?
It's probably more the art.
Yeah.
Because indeed, business is not going to wait. Business just needs to move. But you also want to make sure there's certain roles where you're not going to compromise. You will try to kind of hold the line to the standard and quality of talent you're looking for. But there's also going to be roles where I think it's quite nice to take some risks around putting someone in there who you wouldn't have. Does it kind of conform to the standard mold of what you would fit in that role? And there's been times in the past where I try to do an 80-20. So 80% of the time, 80% of the role, I'll try to kind of appoint people that I know fits them to a T. 20% of the time, I do want to take some risks around people. And a lot of the times where I have taken risks, it's actually paid off quite handsomely. Just kind of trying to find someone who's different.
And when, Romi, because I think it's great that there's still, it's not all the straight or plain sailing, that there are always still challenges. If you had that, where do you get help? Is it only from yourself, or have you had others to help you navigate?
Yeah. No, great question, Philippa. I tend to, I think I've got a pretty decent instinct around talent. I always value a lot, and whenever I have a second pair of eyes, someone that I trust to actually help me with the selection process. And I've also had coaches in the past, and they've been really great at helping me. One, I think the value that coaches bring is one, cause you to pause, take a beat, then not just jump into the next thing that happens. So I've had this coach that's kind of been with me for a while. It kind of started off as a mentor, and then kind of carried on as a coach. And the person kind of gave me some really sage advice in terms of, when you do hire, at least for me, I've got a tendency of hiring people who are like me. And I think that's something that a lot of us recognize. And how do you make sure that you flip that script to make sure that you've got enough diversity of people around? And one of the best advice that this coach has kind of given me is the success would be if you can hire people who are more talented and smarter than you are. It's hard as a leader to kind of do that, because you always want to be the smartest person in the room. Or at least when I was younger, that's how I felt. But as you get more mature, as you get older, the people that you want to bring onto the table in the room with you should actually be a lot smarter than you in different areas, and they actually complement the gaps that you have. So as a leader, if you're able to just kind of let go of a lot of those kind of feelings, and embrace the diversity, the different skills and experience that others bring, it just makes you an even better leader. That's probably one of the best advices that I've gotten from a coach in my career.
It's nice, great advice.
Yeah, and well, obviously, great advice to have a coach, I think, is the first one. But
It's the first.
I like that connection with, because you talked earlier on about the empowerment, so you let the team go, and it sounds like that advice of, and make sure you've got people smarter than you, means you really trust them to let them go as well. So, like you said, paint the picture about the vision, and then they can work out the how, because they're the subject expert in that area. That's really helpful, very insightful. And I'm really glad that you were also getting some support from external in order to help you with those challenges as well, Romi.
I mean, one of the other challenges for Theresa, in terms of something that an external coach managed to help me out with, was, I think, I probably struggle to an extent even today in terms of managing underperformance. It's a very difficult subject for most leaders, right? Especially if you're new team leaders, just going to form a new team. You've got someone in your team who's underperforming. In my early days, how I tried to solve underperformance in my team is, I'm just going to roll up my sleeves and I jump in and I do the work for the individual. But I think over time, as you get coaching and as you learn these things, first of all, I think you need to kind of set some clear boundaries, expectations around deliverables, set accountability with the individual. But also, you need to kind of get the balance right as a leader. And this is probably, again, great advice from a coach. You need to get the right balance as a leader around how long would you wait, right? How long do you give the time and the space and the support to the individual to see them turn things around? And when do you need to kind of make that tough call to kind of say, hey, maybe this is not the right role for you, it's not the right fit for you, but you'll do great in other areas. So I've always kind of found it really hard to, first of all, have those conversations. Second of all, to kind of make that tough call. I always tend to lean on the side of giving people more space, hoping that they're going to turn around. But actually, it's quite detrimental to the rest of the team, because the rest of the team needs to kind of pick up the slack of this one individual. And that just kind of pulls morale down.
Yeah.
Just great insight. And you're absolutely right in terms of it is finding that balance sometimes. And it's not about being cruel to be kind. That's not what's happening here. What's happening here is setting really clear expectations. And you've done that right from the start of the recruitment process. Maybe taken a few risks, and sometimes those risks don't always pay off. And it's better to be open and honest.
Yeah.
But from a leader's point of view, sometimes that is hard, especially as you said, when you're new, because we don't like, as human beings, we don't like delivering bad news. We don't like confrontation. Majority of us don't. But that's when you stop being a manager and you become a leader. And that's what a lot of coaching is all about. It's about helping people get the best from not only themselves, but also from their teams. So that's been fascinating. Gosh, I could talk to you and listen to you all day. So I think we need to do a series 3 and you can have the whole series, which would be wonderful. So thank you for that. I've taken so much from it. And I love the fact about taking some risks. There's a fantastic guy out there called Henry Stewart, and he talks about bringing the strength of your colleague to the forefront of the role rather than the role to the forefront of the colleague. And that's exactly what you were saying, especially there when you talked about the 20% risk and bringing somebody into the team so you can see their strengths, but they might not necessarily know if they can do the job, but their strengths are what you want, and then you know. So
fantastic. I love that saying that you had, Theresa. I'm going to steal it with shamelessly steal it of that. So
I've been on to feel with pride occasionally. Was one of our quotes previously. Feel with pride, that's fine. Romi, it's been really lovely to have you in the podcast today, and obviously to reconnect again. But I love that description around, it's about looking through the recruitment, it's about then driving performance, it's about getting some advice, which I do think with things which are uncomfortable for you, which things like the underperformance, having a third person that although you can rehearse some of these conversations with, you've got all of the knowledge, just really about saying things out loud sometimes.
And just giving you reassurance that you're making the right calls. I think that's helpful, just having that coach beside you.
Yeah. And that second pair of eyes also, so with a bit of that advice of just recruiting people who are exactly like you, rather than looking at how do you make sure that you've got the diversity of thought, which is then when you can get a more powerful team. So really helpful. So a big thank you, Romi, for joining us today and taking time out. Theresa, our usual thing is, what would you say our message is today?
Wow, well, there's been so much in that, hasn't there? But for me, it's about challenges will happen. They come. It's how we bend and mould to those challenges. So we talked a lot there about recruitment, if it's not quite been right, delivering bad news, but also the fact that new is exciting. And I think for me, in everything that we've talked about, one of the key things that has come out is don't let your own ego get in the way. You're a leader and you need to lead. And it's not about your ego. It's about delivering with the whole team, whatever the target is. So brilliant. Well done. Thank you so much. And I can't wait for our next episode, which will be number 3, where we will continue this theme of new. Thank you very much and lovely to meet you, Romi.
Thanks, both.